Hello children. In the last videos you have discussed magnetic field due to current carrying wire and also due to current carrying loop, right? And then we said that when current is allowed to pass through wire, it produces magnetic field, right? When we have current carrying wire, let's see here, and I send a current to it, and then you will place a magnet nearby in the form of a compass. Then what do we observe? That this compass experiences a force, right? We already discussed this Oersted experiment, that when we place a magnet near a current carrying wire, this is a compass, that experiences magnetic force. Now, the physicist, his name was Ampere, and Ampere suggested that just as a current carrying wire applies force on the magnet, then the magnet should also apply a force on the current carrying wire. You understand it? It's like Newton's third law of motion, that to every action there is a equal and opposite reaction. Let's understand once again. I have a current carrying wire and I place a small magnet nearby, then what do you see? The magnet experiences the magnetic force. Now Ampere suggested that just as the wire is applying a force on the magnet, then the magnet must also apply a force on the wire, right? And therefore, concept was developed that force acts on a current carrying conductor which is placed in a magnetic field, right? Now, we can perform an activity experimentally also, it can be seen. Imagine a situation here. We have a light wire or a stripe which is made up of aluminium, and then this wire is placed between the poles of magnet. Suppose I am applying the magnetic field by using a Harsh magnet. This is North Pole and this is South Pole. This is North Pole and this is South Pole. And then this aluminium stripe is connected to the source of current. I connect it here to the source of current. Suppose this is how the current is flowing. Current will flow from the positive terminal of the battery. This is how the current is flowing to the current. Right? These are poles of the Harsh magnet. If you want, I can complete the Harsh magnet like this. You know, it's a U-shaped magnet, right? This is aluminium stripe. Aluminium stripe, and these are poles of magnet. We find that when the aluminium wire stripe is placed between the poles of the magnet, that experiences a force. And this is what Ampere had said. Just as a current carrying wire applies a force on a magnet, the magnets will also apply a force on the current carrying wire. And same thing we have seen. We have a Harsh magnet here, North Pole and South Pole. You know, direction of magnetic field is always from north to south. So this is the direction of magnetic field. Magnetic field is going where? Up. And then here we have a current carrying wire which is placed perpendicular to the magnetic field. This angle is how much? 90 degrees. We will find that this wire will start off moving. Now, in which direction it will move will be direction in which the stripe, the aluminium stripe, will experience the force. So the question arises, if this aluminium wire or stripe is experiencing a force, what will be its direction? Actually, the direction of the force experienced by the aluminium stripe is given by left hand rule, and it's a very popular rule. It's called Fleming's left hand rule. Fleming is the name of a physicist, a scientist. Fleming's left hand rule, right? So we conclude that when we place a current carrying wire in a magnetic field, then it experiences a force, right? So let's write it here. When a current carrying wire, conductor meaning what? A conducting wire is placed in the magnetic field, it experiences a magnetic force. And children, this magnetic force is a direction. I would like to know in which direction will this aluminum stripe will have a tendency to move. And why I am using aluminum stripe? The aluminum is light. Okay. So even if there is a small force, it will start moving. If I replace with an iron stripe, it may not move because iron stripe is requiring greater force. Now, direction of force is given by direction of force is given by Fleming's left hand rule. Fleming's left hand rule. Okay. Write this as capital H, capital L. Fleming's left hand rule. So we learn what is Fleming's left hand rule and then you will apply it here. Fleming's left hand rule is very simple. You stretch the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger at 90 degrees to each other. All are perpendicular, you can see. These two fingers are perpendicular and these two fingers are also perpendicular. Right? Can you see? I am stretching the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger at right angle to each other. Such that magnetic field is given by the forefinger. Magnetic field is given by the what? Forefinger. And current is given by the middle finger. Then force is given by the thumb. We'll go over this once again. We are stretching the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger at right angle to each other such that magnetic field is given by the what? Thumb. Current is given by the middle finger. Then force is given by the what? Left hand thumb. Okay. So let's write it down. So we'll be understanding what is Fleming's left hand rule. What is Fleming's left hand rule? This is the direction. Right? So what is the left hand rule? If we stretch the thumb, forefinger and middle finger at right angle to each other, at right angle to each other such that okay, I'll let it say now, such that you can stretch your thumb, forefinger and middle finger at angle to each other such that field is given by forefinger, such that forefinger gives what? Magnetic field. Forefinger gives magnetic field, middle finger gives current, middle finger gives current, then thumb gives force. Thumb gives. Now children, we understood that whenever we place a current carrying wire in a magnetic field experience a magnetic force, and then we said the direction of force is given by Fleming's left hand rule. So it's important first to understand what is Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, let's understand it. Here, now look here before you write from the board. If you stretch the left hand thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger at right angle to each other, make sure it's at right angle, this angle is 90 degree and this angle is also how much? 90 degree, such that magnetic field is given by the forefinger. Remember, magnetic field is given by the forefinger. Current is given by the middle finger. Then force is given by the left hand. Okay, very important. I'm writing the statement here. If we stretch the thumb, this is the thumb, forefinger and middle finger, this finger, at right angle to each other, 90 degree, 90 degree, right? Such that forefinger gives magnetic field, this finger gives the magnetic field, middle finger gives the current, this finger gives the current, then force is given by the left hand thumb, right? Now this is the situation you have to remember. This is field, this is current, this is the force. You can stretch your left hand thumb, forefinger and middle finger right angle with me and you can see, right? So let's use it here. Now, magnetic field is always directed from north pole to the south pole. So this is north pole and this is south pole. So the field is going upwards. So I put my forefinger upwards like this. Okay. Now, current in the conductor is going from my left to my right. So I put my middle finger like this. So the force is where? Like this. Meaning, this rod will move outwards. If I stand here, it will come towards me, right? So this is the direction of the force, right? This is the force. In example, there will be problems on this where you will be told to find the direction of the force. Let's see here. This direction of magnetic field. This is magnetic field. Magnetic field. And this is the direction in which an electron is going. Suppose this is the direction of magnetic field. This is the direction in which the electron is going, and they will ask you, in which direction will electron experience the force? Remember, force is always perpendicular. Force is always perpendicular to both the magnetic field and current. Clear? So let's understand. This is magnetic field. Make sure you understand it. This is magnetic field. Once again, thumb gives the force, forefinger gives the magnetic field, and middle finger gives the current. Now see, electron is coming downwards. Electron is coming where? Downwards. Current always flows opposite to direction of flow of electrons. So I can assume that as electron is coming downwards, current is going where? Upwards. Now this is a trick you have to understand. Current is not in the direction of electron, but if they say proton, then I take the same direction. Okay? So current is going up. This is the magnetic field. So let's align. I align my forefinger towards magnetic field. Current is up. I open my thumb. You can see all at right angle to each other. Once again, this is field, this is current, this is force. You can see my thumb is going inside now. So what is the direction of force? Force is inside. Clear? So once you work with this law also, you will be able to understand. So we learned this important concept that whenever we have current carrying conducting magnetic field, it will experience a force, right? And when you experience a force, what happens? You get deflected. Now this force depends upon what things? Remember, the force will increase if I increase the current. If I send more current here, then the force will increase, number one. Number two, if I increase magnetic field, then also the force will increase. And number three, if current is perpendicular to magnetic field, then also the force will be maximum. Now these things you have to keep in mind. It's very important. And if in a situation, suppose this is magnetic field and this is current, magnetic field will be right B and similar current is A. If both are parallel, then there is no force. Force will be 0. This concept will be learning in class 12 actually when you do this chapter, moving charges. Okay, we'll be doing this again. Okay, children, we learned that when you place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, it experiences a magnetic force. Direction is given by Fleming's left hand rule. Now we have many practical devices and very important devices based on this. One such device is called electric motor. We also call it DC motor, but right now we will understand this is what electric motor. But remember, the basic concept is when we place a current carrying wire in a magnetic field, it experiences magnetic force. Let's understand it. Construction of electric motor. Electric motor is a very commonly used device. You want to pump water, right? Everybody has got overhead tanks in their houses, so they use what? Electric pumps. These are basically what? Electric motors, right? You want to drive a grinding machine, they also use what? Electric motors, right? Motors have been used everywhere. Every single device uses a motor, right? You have a fan, they also have a motor, right? Everywhere you have a motor. What exactly a motor does? An electric motor actually converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. If we are very clear about this, this is also an important topic in exam. An electric motor converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. So how it does this work? Let's understand it. But before that, we will understand what is its construction, how we make it. See, first we will take Harshad magnet. This is the north pole of the magnet, and this is the south pole of the magnet, because we need the magnet field. And then between the poles of this magnet, we will place a copper coil here. We will place a copper coil between the poles of the magnet. But the problem is that if you have a copper coil, then copper coil requires a frame on which you wind it. So here we have an axis on which you wind up this copper coil. Now this copper coil, when you wind up the wires with the frame, we call it frame or axis. You wind up the wires on this. It's a rectangular coil, and then this coil, the two ends of the coil come here like this. Clear? Now this is the frame on which we have split rings. One split ring is here, and the other split ring is here. Here is the axis on which you are mounting the copper coil, and for this is axis. Here, its ABCDOC is copper coil. Copper. It is north south. You see, these are poles of a permanent magnet. Now you can see on this axis itself, we have got a full ring. You take a ring cut in two parts, right? One part of the ring is soldered to one end of the coil. The other part is soldered to the other end of the coil. Now the rings are here insulated. And fixed on the axis. Here we have two brushes. We call this carbon brushes. What do we call this? Carbon brushes. These are touching the split rings. These are split rings. I got this is the R1 and I call this as R2. It's very easy. This copper coil will have two wires, one will be here, the other will be here. One will be connected to one split ring, the other will be connected to and the split. What is split ring? Actually, you take the full ring and cut in two parts from here. You become two halves. So one half is connected here, the other half is connected here. Right? Now these two triangular things which you see touching the split rings, these are carbon brushes. These are carbon brushes. And then these two are connected to a battery. So this is simple construction. Construction of electric motor. It has a copper coil, rectangular copper coil. Yes, and the rectangle. This is our little copper coil. It is placed between the poles of a magnet. The two ends of the copper coil are soldered or connected to split rings. Split ring means half a ring. One full ring you take and cut in two parts. One part is connected here, other part is connected here. These rings are R1 and R2. Now there are two carbon brushes. One carbon brush we call V1 and the other carbon brush we call what? V2. You can see one carbon brush is connected to one terminal of the battery, take positive terminal, and the other carbon terminal, other brush is connected to the other terminal of the battery. Right? So this is the construction. So if you write the construction, it has a rectangular copper coil. Rectangular copper coil having large number of turns. Having large number of turns, right? And is placed between the poles of a permanent magnet. And children, this magnet is like this. This is North Pole and this is South Pole. North Pole, South Pole. And this could be North, this could be also be South, depending. Use your magnet. You call it horseshoe magnet. Clear? Alright. And now the coil is connected to split rings. Important to mention this, split rings. Okay. And the rings are connected to carbon brushes. Carbon brushes. Or simply we will say brushes also. V1 and V2. Now how it works? Working. How it works? Children, working very easy. It works on the principle of force experienced by a current carrying conducting a magnetic field. We discussed earlier. That exactly the principle itself and what exactly is happening. Now look at the diagram. When I close this key, what is the key? Key is like a switch. I start the key here. When I switch on the circuit, the current will start flowing like this. You can see the current is going to flow from the positive terminal of the battery. See, the current comes up to here. It comes to brush B1, and brush B1 is touching the what? Split ring. So you can see current will be transferred from brush B1 here to ring R1. Yes, follow the direction current. Current comes to the brush, from brush it comes to the ring, and the ring is in contact with what? Is connected to the what? Coil. So you can see the current will go like this, like this, like this, again like this, like this. You can see it comes here. It comes to ring R2, and from split ring R2 is connected to, it's coming to brush, V2 is connected, and finally it's coming to the, and the circuit is complete. Clear? That means when you close the key, a current starts flowing from this rectangular coil. That's what I am telling you. When we close the key, a current is sent up through this coil. And you already take that when current flows through a wire, placed in magnetic field is experiencing magnetic force. Let's see what exactly is happening here. Magnetic field is from North Pole to the East Pole, South Pole. See, this is how the magnetic field is acting. This is how the magnetic field is acting. Right? Let's draw this diagram separately to see, understand this. So this is the coil. Understand it nicely? This is the coil. with the coil, right? This is how the current is flowing. This is the north pole and this is the south pole. So this is how the magnetic field is going. I'll name this as we already named A, B, C, D. Let's see how much is the force. Try to understand very nicely. How much force on AB? If I use left hand rule, this is the magnetic field, this is the current, this is the force. Try to understand this nicely. This is the magnetic field. Pay attention. This is the magnetic field. Current is going up. So this current is going up. And where is the thumb? The thumb is going inside. That means the force which will be acting on AB will push it where? Inside. Will push it where? Inside. Like this. Now come side AB. Side BC now. Side BC is parallel to the magnetic field. And I told you, when a side is parallel to the magnetic field, there will be no force on it. So force on this side BC is equal to 0. There is no force on BC. Now let's look at CG. You can see the CG is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So what will be direction of force on it? Again we will be using what? Left hand rule. See here. See carefully. This is the field. Current is down. So thumb is where? Outside. So this force will be acting like this. This force will be acting outside. Means children, if I take this coil, then the force which is acting on AB will push it inside. This force will push it inside. Force acting on CD will pull it here outside, like this. Imagine I am holding a book in my hand. Imagine I am holding a book like this, just like a coil. I apply a force here which is acting inside, and apply force like this is AB, BC, CD and DA. This force is inside, so I push it inside and I put this outside. See what is happening? The book is turning. The book is turning. This wire and this wire is, these are parallel to the magnetic field. So there will be no force on this, there will be no force on this. This force is inside and this force is outside. So this book will start turning. Book will start what? Turning. And this turning effect is what you call is torque. What do you call it? Torque. That means, again if I come down here, AD. Force on AD will also be how much? 0. Because AD is parallel to the magnetic field. So the net result is that when I send current to this coil, the coil experiences a torque. Because force on AB is inside, then force on CD is outside. They form a rotational effect. And with the rotational effect, the coil will start turning. The coil will start what? Turning. And remember, this coil has been fixed. It has been wound on the shaft. So when the coil will rotate, then the shaft will also start rotating. And when the shaft will rotate, the rotation of the shaft can be utilized for doing mechanical work. So this is how we are able to convert electrical energy to mechanical energy. And now we can increase the speed of rotation of the coil by increasing the current by taking more number of turns, by using a bigger coil, or by increasing the magnetic field. So here working, what is working? It works on the principle of force experienced by a current carrying conductor. In a magnetic field. In a magnetic. Here. Now, let's see how it is working. When current is allowed to pass through the coil, we categorically will see what all happens when we allow current to flow through the wire. When current flows through the coil, force on AB is inside. This force is where? Inside. Force on BC is 0, because when current carrying wire is parallel to the magnetic field in the same direction as the magnetic field, force will be 0. Force on CD is outside, and force on DA is 0. So we accept it. Force on AB is inside and force on CD is outside. Therefore, coil experiences a rotational effect. What is the student? Rotational effect called torque, and starts rotating So rotation of the coil actually is what? The mechanical one, and thus electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy. Thus electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy. So you saw how we can actually convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. It is a very simple process. Direction of force acting on each arm is explained by using it, which will Fleming's left hand. So I'm saying to students, now remember that speed of rotation of the coil can be increased by increasing number 1 current, number 2 number of turns in the coil. More turns the rotation will be more. Number 3 by increasing magnetic field means it is stronger magnet. Number 4 by using a coil with greater. So these are the factors, children. Make sure to practice properly. In next class I am discussing electromagnetic induction. Okay.